Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man, and the time is finally here that we need to get this planter going. And I worked on it all day yesterday and I didn't get any video, but I really needed to just keep plugging along and work on it. So the biggest thing that bothered me when I got it was it had just a ridiculous amount of hydraulic hoses everywhere that were just a mess. Here you can see the pile that I have removed, and not in very good shape, plus they were sloppy. So I knew I wanted to kind of clean it up a little bit. The marker hoses were the worst. They were so long they were dragging the ground. And so I made hard lines and thought I would do little short ends of hose here to each cylinder, and thought that would clean it up a little bit. Well, then after looking at that, I thought I might as well just do it all. So I've been working on that, and what I've got here is I had to make different little brackets here to bolt to what was already part of the planter. That way I wasn't really modifying anything. And then I had to make these little clamps for the lines, which I can show you right now a video clip of me doing that. I recorded some with my phone, so here it is. So here I'm trying to do this one-handed, but heating up the bracket, and in a second I'll hammer it over and get it where it needs to be. And I'll show you the finished product. Getting close. I don't know how I'm going to do this and hold the camera, but quickly shut the torch off, set it down. Hopefully it won't get too cold before I'm done. Oh, good camera work too that I held it right on there while I was doing it, but that's basically how that works. Just put it in the vise to the line. I drew little lines on it at a preset distance, and then clamp it, heat it, and hammer it over. So here is one of the little braces I made, or hydraulic hose line clamps. So that's what they look like. So anyway, I got that done and got my hard lines made, got more of these clamps made. The marker hoses, because this blower is mounted up front on the tongue instead of back in the frame like they usually would have been, I ended up going forward with the marker hoses across the top of the tongue. But this tongue actually has cutouts in it for hoses to go through, but you have to go over this feed shaft here, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. So I went ahead and fed the blower hoses and the lift hoses, which I'm not done with yet, through the tongue, and then they come out up here, and then I think that'll keep everything out of the way where it's not going to interfere with anything. And what I ended up doing, which I don't like to do, is add on some ends of hose. Like here, these weren't long enough when I went through the tongue, so instead of reinventing the wheel right now, I just put on a couple short ones. One of them is actually recycled from the 1855. I had that hose down in there, if you remember, so I just used it on here, and then I got another short one to put on this side. And that was kind of the name of the game, using up hoses I had. There was a local farm store that closed several years back, and I bought a bunch of the pre-made hoses, so I had a bunch of 3/8 hoses and stuff. So that's where I got some of this in, and then ended up bringing them together for my markers. I kind of knew what I wanted, but not really. It just was kind of, let's see how it turns out and then change as we go. So I got that all rigged up. I got my new gauge put on. If you remember, my old air gauge was up here and it did not have the needle on it anymore. So this is the updated style gauge they sent. And luckily, AGCO still had these brackets that you need to mount it. So I just went ahead and ordered them instead of making something, because they were very reasonably priced. They had this little filter elbow thing So I got that. I got the line and the new fitting that screws into here. And oh, another thing I did was I changed the filter, which was a chore in itself. I can put in a clip of that right now. So here's the hydraulic filter, and if you recall, it was leaking when we ran the blower, and it was not easy to get apart. You're supposed to be able to just, there's a star nut that you unthread off of here, and then you should be able to shove this in and then take out a snap ring, but my gosh, I had to take it off the planter to get it to move, and finally got it pulled out. And you can see that looks like they weren't very religious about changing their filter, so this is definitely not a wasted effort. But they made 2 styles of these filters, and so you get more stuff in your box of parts with the filter. But we need this O-ring and then the filter element, and then we should be able to put it back together, and hopefully it will not leak when we're done. So anyway, it was very difficult to work with, but I ended up turning it up like this to better shoot the hose back this way. Here's a new return hose I got from Agco, which is only 300 PSI rated, and I kind of questioned that, but it's after you've reduced it. It goes through the blower motor, so it's not full pressure here, and it's on the return side. So that transitions into a regular hydraulic hose then and goes through the tongue. Basically, it was just a guessing game of making clamps and doing whatever. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what it was, and it's basically all made out of recycled scrap material, so not too bad. I need to, over here on this marker, I discovered after working on it, it was totally destroyed at one point, and this was bent way over. I got it hammered pretty well straight, but it's still, the cylinder kind of sits a little bit crooked, and my marker has apparently been destroyed too during that process, because it does not line up here with this hole. That's why it's been like this. So sometime I need to work on that and get it back where it'll go through there, but I think it'll work as is. I do need to make a longer hose here. This is a 24-inch hose, and that worked on the other side, but over here it's not quite long enough, so I'm going to need to get like a 28-inch hose or something, just a little bit more to make the bend. You have to have this fitting kind of kicked out so that when you fold the marker down, it's not into this part of the frame. But I got all of this plumbed up. It changes from 3/8 to 1/4-inch line on your, like your slave cylinders and things. So 3/8 hard line everywhere, and then different ends of hose to the cylinders. I got to get a couple hoses made to go from there to here, and on the other side of that pipe from there to that cylinder. I haven't got that done yet. It's kind of overwhelming when you've got a whole list of stuff that you need, so you know, you get part of it and put it on, and then you figure out what you still need so that you don't, you know, make something that you don't need and waste things. The sequencing valve for the markers is up here, so I ended up putting some 45-degree fittings in to help make that go the direction they needed to be. I don't usually like using extra fittings, but in this case I think it got everything tucked away out of the way, so I'm happy with the way it's turned out so far. I did hook up the tractor last night and try to run the blower, and it wouldn't run for some reason. And the only thing I can think of is that maybe this hose, which was the recycled hose, maybe like one of those dirt dauber wasps built a nest or something in the end of it, and I didn't catch it because I took it off and cleaned it out and stuck a wire through it and whatever and put it back together, and then it ran fine. So I don't know what the deal was there, but I was kind of worried for a minute. I did all this and then something quit working, but I got it together, so we're in good shape there. We've got the blower hoses in a way that I like running them through the tongue, because I think that if something were to happen and it would come unhooked, I think there's a lot of places it would catch before it ended up ripping the expensive stuff apart. So that's kind of what we're after here, is protection. And there's supposed to be a cover over this, and it's very expensive from Agco. I may end up robbing the one off my 6-row planter and putting it on here, because I doubt that I'll get that ready to go this year. I'll probably still plant corn with the 543, the old school way. But anyway, so I'm waiting on lines. Today is a Sunday. It's also very windy again, of course, because I'm trying to film a video. But I'll get the lines tomorrow. I've been kind of decoding what kind of sprockets I've got here, because I didn't want to just trust what the picture is in case something's been changed. And the only thing that's really been changed is the sprocket that this is on is actually a 25 tooth, and the next one is a 28. They flip-flopped them in there. So according to the picture up here, wherever it is, you would have a is it this one? 22, 25, 28, 33. So they just flip-flopped the 28 and 25. So I need to look at the book and try to figure out what rate I've got and what I want, and see if it's where I want it now or if I need to change something. I mean, it was obviously set up for soybeans, so I think it would probably be close, but I want to double check. Unfortunately, my soybean sticker is totally gone, and I looked it up on the Agco thing, and you can't get the soybean sticker. You can get this other one, but you can't get that one. So that's kind of a bummer. But anyway, I've got an operator's book, and I'm sure it's in there. The only thing that might, I don't know if it'll be in there, and I'll have to check, is since they're on 15-inch rows now, I don't know if it'll be in the regular 5100 book, or there was like a supplement for the 5100S. I may have to order that and to get all the numbers I need. I've really just been kind of looking it over, trying to figure out what my next move is. I've got some of those caps, like I showed before, new plungers to put on, that the seed clean out tubes. So I need to take all these off and do that. I'm kind of worried that maybe the threads are bad on some of these. The ones I took off were kind of rusty. I hope not, because then I'll probably end up having to replace those pipe nipples, and usually steel and aluminum do not like to come apart, so I assume that's some type of aluminum. I also need to take all these plates off and check the brushes. I don't think you're supposed to store them with the brushes or with these seed discs on, but the last person did, so I'm gonna have to check and see if I need to order new brushes. I've got a few on hand, but I don't think I have near enough. I've got a few springs to replace. I've got all new bushings to put in, but since we're getting close to time, I may not tear in and do bushings. I don't know, it just depends on what the weather is. I think it'll plant like it is. The only thing that may not plant like it is, I noticed yesterday, and I looked it up, and you can get it, and I'm gonna have to get one, is half of this clutch is bad. This piece right here has fallen down and worn, and I think that the sprocket part is fine, but this piece needs to get replaced because it's not letting it, it's not holding this other one far enough apart because it's falling down and they're coming back together. So that definitely has to be addressed before we start. Like I said, I don't think that the actual sprocket is bad, but I may be wrong when I take it apart. I might should take it apart before I order it, just to see what the story is, because maybe I need both pieces, which is a bummer because this is like a $90-some piece here. But anyway, we'll find out fairly certainly, or fairly soonly. I don't even know, I'm not even using real words anymore. But I need to put the chains back on. When I pulled it home, I took the chains off the wheels because I figured highway speeds and this shaft probably really wouldn't like that. So I need to rebuild that lift cylinder too, it leaks pretty bad. So I guess I should probably do that before we start, although I don't know, if I lift it up and it looks like it's not leaking too bad, I may wait until we get a break or something. But I think it's gonna need it, because it looks like it's dripping pretty good even when it sits here. So that's probably on the list of things to do. Otherwise, I think I'm really getting close to having it done, and hopefully this was not a wasted purchase. I think it was a lot better than the one I had. The Alice Chalmers planter I had was getting kind of wore too, and it was going to need work. So I sold it and bought this, and I think I came out pretty good. I mean, part of that, I guess, is just personal preference. I wanted one of these, so I don't mind spending money on something that I plan on keeping. So we'll give it a try, and hopefully it doesn't let me down. Well, here's some stuff I've got for it. I've got 3 springs for those closing wheels. So I think that's how many are broken. And then I noticed some springs in the wrong places on it, and I ordered whatever it was supposed to have, so we're gonna have to switch as necessary. Here's 3 different sizes of bushings. I don't know if we'll get to that, but these things need to go in because they're bad on there. So, and these don't even have, do these have threads in them? 1 thread. So it may not be a big deal if the threads aren't that great on the what's there, but we'll get these off and see what we've got, clean it up, and then try to put these in. So here we go. I guess we'll start in the back where it's easy to get to. Oh, that's so crusty. I just really, ooh. And I'm missing the plunger head. I wonder if it's up in there. Have to look. It is. Yeah. Can we get it out of there? I'm gonna have to get something to shove down in there and knock those out. Let me see if I can find something. Come on out of there, buddy. Oh boy, this is gonna be an ordeal. I feel it, kind of. I feel a lot of dirt too. Man, that's a bummer. Come on out of there. Well, that didn't work. Maybe we can use an old hydraulic hose we just took out. Will that knock it out of there? It will. Hooray. Boy, I don't know. It's just very, very dirty in there. I cannot believe that somebody left it like this. I'm gonna see if I've got a wire brush that'll go up in there a little bit. I know they have a cleaning brush. I might check the other planter and see if it's there. Well, this is really to clean out your seed tubes, I think, but we're gonna see if we can clean out these with it. It's probably not a good idea, but up in there it doesn't feel bad, but I'm very worried about this. There just is not very many threads there. I might get a wire wheel and try to knock on that a little bit, see what happens. Let's spray some stuff. See, we don't even know when the last time this was used was. So it just does not look good. But I don't want to just replace something because of looks. But I kind of did that with hoses, I guess. But let's take this old plunger and see if how it screws on there. Well, that ain't too bad. I just really would hate for one to fall out and I lose all my seed and not realize it. Well, I think that'll work because I pull on it pretty aggressively there and it didn't come off, so I think that will probably be fine. You know, I don't know if maybe at the end of the season a guy should like paint the threads or something. I don't know. Can I get this back off now? No. Apparently it's on to stay. I don't even know what I did with my channel locks. There they are. Let's try it and see if we can get it back off gently. Brand new stuff, all marred up now. Chewed up plastic. The temptation is great to give that a little shot of paint or something just to keep it from rusting, but I don't know. I think I will experiment and take this off because this is where some of those bushings go and it's pretty bad, and I think some go in this arm, so it's all the same bolt or 2 bolts, so it may be worth a wrench and take her loose and see how difficult it's going to be and then go ahead and put it on. This one, the spring is fine, it's on where it's supposed to be, so but I think we will investigate here because that's what I bought it for, and it doesn't do any good in the bag. I really, after a while, I really need to order a new magnetic base for this because we tore it up way back when, and it's just being held together with electrical tape, and I can envision that costing us a camera this season, so. Now I made a mess. Can I get that off of there? That's gonna bother me. I painted that nipple and I got some overspray. That'll clean off. I have a tendency to make things worse by trying to make things better, so that's the story of my life. I don't know if we want to do this or not. We might find way more things wrong than what we want, but we're in it now. We're gonna take at least one apart and see how difficult it is. Well, there's half. Let's see here. Okay, so I first noticed, unless I missed it when it fell off, this side did not have a bushing in this arm anymore, and the other side's got one that's worn. So I don't know. I don't think I saw it fall out and I missed it by accident, but let's just let that hang on the spring. Let's see what we got here. There should have been a bushing in there. Shouldn't there have been? Okay, there's another half bushing. I bet that fell out of that arm over here. So We got 3 different bagfuls. These are those bushings for this arm. Boy, they're pretty slopped out, aren't they? That's still not gonna take up all the slack in it. Okay, come on, baby. Go back in there. Okay. Whew. Well, I kind of feel like we failed. All I got is these. It's not what I want, but you can't do nothing about it. There we go. Let's give it a little grease. Let's clean the grease gun first. Out of there, that'll do good. That'll attract dirt. That's what we want. Yep. I don't think there's anything else out of the ordinary. I think it'll be fine. All the bearings feel good and everything. I've done all I can do for it. So basically, I think this one's ready to go down here. We'll need to check the brushes up higher. We'll do that, and it just makes sense to do all of one thing at once and then go back, and so that's what we'll do. I'm also going to check these springs, and I need to count how many I got. Some of them have the wrong spring on the tension for these idlers, and I ordered those. And then the other thing was, what were they for? There's another heavier spring that somebody has used in its place, and that's not right, and I ordered some of those too. So gotta look now. I don't. Oh, the spring that goes like your down pressure spring there. There's one. Somebody's used some of those as tension for your idler sprockets, so we need to address that. It actually looks like I don't have hardly any of these down pressure springs, if that's what the intent was. I've got 2, 3. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. So here we are at the next day, and I've made some progress. I got my new springs, down pressure springs, put on. It was missing a few, so I got those all put on. Some chain tension springs were missing. I don't even see where there's a new one now, but trust me, they're in there somewhere. They had the there's one. They had the down pressure springs on the chain tensioner, and that would have been fine, except it was rubbing the chain, so that won't work. I got the new caps back here. I got it on 6 of them so far, but you can see I did end up cleaning this up, and I painted it, just a quick shot of paint over the bare metal rusty area to try to help that last a little bit better. And I also, after taking the seed discs out, I'm glad I did, because you can see from this one there is about no tickler brushes left. There's one bristle. There's some with none. So I went ahead and ordered all new brushes for it. That wasn't something I really wanted to do, but I don't want to just replace some and not others. So I'm just going to replace them all, and then whatever good ones I have I can save are going to be spares in case I need one to throw on in a hurry. But I think we got everything put together so far that we can off of what we have. I do need to take, there's 3 somewhere, not on the back, but in there there's 2, and I don't remember if I ordered a 3rd extra spring or not, but there's some broken springs on these on these press wheels here. You see they have springs down in there. So I think I'm gonna wait to put those on for when I go through. I'm going to take every press wheel off, and I got new bushings like we did on that one unit. I also have coming some new rotating scrapers that go against the seat openers, so we'll go with that. The ones that are on here are almost non-existent, if there's any. So we're going to do that. It does need, and I'm just going to run with it this year, but it really could use seat openers. They're pretty wore, but I mean, where do you stop? When you buy something new, it takes several years usually to figure out everything, but I'm gonna have to do that because it's just not gonna work. You can see I got all the plumbing finished, and I had it lifted up. It works great. I had the blower running, the markers unfolding, so we're in business there. Everything is nicely tucked up to the tractor, and it shouldn't get into anything when you make turns. So I like the way that turned out, and I really like the way that turned out. I mean, I think I'm happy with it. It was another expense that wouldn't necessarily have had to happen, but I think it's gonna cause me a lot less headaches not having to worry about replacing a busted hose here and there as we go on. I need to put the wheel chains back on. Like I said, I took those off when I pulled it home, and that side I'll probably wait till I get my new half of that clutch, because that needs to be taken apart, put on there. And I'd say once we get our seed brushes, then we should be ready to put this all back together again. I still have to clean up these front 6 units. I got the back all done, but these need a good cleaning out. Whoever had it before me left it pretty dirty in there, so we got to go through and fix that problem. I looked in the book last night, and I think I figured out what combination I want. Right now it's set up where it would plant, I think, right at 150,000 rate. But when you figure in that some of the seed only has maybe 85% germination, I talked to the seed dealer, and they said in bags you can figure 85 to 90%. So if you subtracted that, that would be like between 21 to 24,000. So that would take you down to like 130,000. So I think I'm probably going to bump it up to where it's set for like 170 some thousand, and that way I'll be in the neighborhood of 150 to 60, depending on, you know, what the germination rate is. But I think anything from 155,000 to 160,000 is pretty good for 15-inch row soybeans. So that's what we're going to try. My orange planter that I had, you couldn't adjust it this fine without spending like $1,200 each time, because you had to put a sprocket on every row, and they were expensive. So this way I have everything I need. I can dial in whatever I want, and then we should be in good shape. So we'll just have to wait on parts now, which is hard to do when everybody else around is planting, but that's fine. I'd rather set it up right so that I don't have, in theory, very many problems. But we'll see how that plays out. And everything else that needs done to it hopefully can wait till next year and it'll get us through this year. I still don't have a monitor. I've had a lead on one, but the guy he and I can't seem to get together, so I don't know if that'll happen or not. But I've never had a monitor before, so we'll just go without it. I mean, stop and check and make sure you've got it, you know, nothing is still full when it shouldn't be, and, you know, it works. They did it for many years without a monitor. It just would be a nice thing to have, but it'll still plant without it. So that's where we stand on this, and hopefully the parts get here tomorrow and I can start putting them back together. Remember, if you like Oliver and White videos, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.